Hello and welcome to the first stream of 2025. So excited you're here. I'm going to share with y'all one last thing that I received for Christmas, which is this shirt with a spider with an eye right there, which I think is pretty cool. Thank you to the friend who got this for me. I really love it. It's absolutely great. It's a little low to use for hypnosis, so I might bring out this, if you recall this, or I might bring out this, if you recall this, or I might do something totally different. I don't know yet. My options in here are slightly limited. But anyway, welcome. Hello. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I think it's always such a privilege to be here, to be talking to people that are interested in hypnosis, that want to go into trance. So much going on in my head right now. Where to begin? There are a lot of people who don't like the word trance. They think that it's simply another state of consciousness. Sure, it could be, right? But I like the shorthand that allows us to think about how, say, being asleep or about to sleep or just woken up is from being in a place where you are open to suggestion, where you are actively trying to do something maybe that feels really good for you, or that allows you to make changes in a way that on a conscious level you just can't force yourself through. And the idea that we have a conscious or an unconscious, for some people, is absolutely false. But I've hypnotized a lot of people over the time that I've been doing hypnosis. And maybe it's a collective conscious thing that people have these shared experiences about what specifically hypnosis is, or trance is, or unconscious or a conscious state is. So I'm fully prepared to accept that there are altered states which differ from what we normally are in, say when we're driving to a place that's new, or when we are working at our desk on a problem, whether you're studying for school or for work, whatever. And that when we are around certain people, we may experience emotions and feelings that are different than when we are with people, other people, or in other situations. So I don't know if I am firmly in the camp of there is absolutely no truth to the idea that we don't have an unconscious mind. I say this having talked to so many people, and especially with the amnesia stuff, it is easy enough, I guess, to have somebody in a trance have conversations with me, for them to have different personalities, different ways they go about things than the conscious self would. These are, of course, the words that I'm using. And for those things to have an impact in the way that they do or do not respond, in the way that they do or do not remember, the idea that somebody is going to forget everything can be detrimental to somebody who's in hypnosis and doesn't understand that maybe if that's the case, the hypnotist might be doing something nefarious, or that they could learn to selectively remember on a conscious level or an unconscious level. That they could selectively remember, consciously or unconsciously, that they are going to do a thing, or that they have done a thing. Humans are so good at forgetting in general. Like, we have processes that allow us to remember certain specific things. And depending on how we learn certain specific things, for example, instead of like cramming, popular pre-test behavior for some people, you stand up while you're learning. You stand up and you walk around and you have flashcards, for example, and you read the flashcards and you get that memories in you while your body is in a different state than just sitting at a desk. Also, it's been recommended that you change position. Like, One time I'm in, say, this desk, and another time I'm in the kitchen at the dining room table, for example, or another time I'm in the living room, or I'm at this other location entirely. Theoretically, the idea was that different locations allow us to, because we're changing the location, it allows our brain to think of what we're learning as a new thing, so it applies that knowledge to it. Like when you first learn to walk, you may not get it on your first go. You like try to grab onto the edge of a table and you can't even quite get your arms to do that work. But at some point in time, you grab it and your legs are standing up and you're so excited, and then you go plop down on your butt again. Like, when you're a very little child learning to do these things. But at some point in time, our brains get the idea that we can do these things anytime, anywhere, and it can feel really great for us to grab a thing, right? To grab an idea, to grab an action, and to hold on to it. So on that note, in the description is a link to a study called How Hypnotizable Are You? And it has you listen to some audios and answer some questions about what your responses are. If you've ever taken it, cool. Let me know how that goes or how that went for you. If you are interested in taking it, I'm just going to ask if you would think about the experiences that you normally have with hypnosis versus the experiences that you have there. And if you notice any differences or if they're the same, but what you find yourself going through. Do the questions tend to lead you into answering in one way versus another way? And if so, how does that work for you? And if not, cool. But just so that your brain can think about, am I super hypnotizable or not? Like, personally, I have not taken that test yet. I do plan on it one of these days. It's hard for me to listen to other people's stuff, so we'll see how that goes. But I can put myself into a trance almost at any time I want. I could probably do it now, because I've definitely done it in these particular Sunday sessions. And you've probably seen me go into trance on my own, so it's pretty easy for me to do that particular part. And again, that that word, trance, is not necessary in order for humans to accept suggestions. There are people out there doing no hypnosis who are great at manipulating and or coercing and or grooming people to do all sorts of things that maybe they wouldn't have done on another level, and they're not all called salespeople either. There's that song, Poets, Priests, and Politicians all have words to thank for their positions. So on some level, when we are listening to things, and of course listening is not the only way that people can find themselves being suggestible, but it is a great way that people can find themselves being suggestible, that the more you find yourself doing these types of activities, hopefully the more you learn about yourself, what your own processes are, how you differentiate one state from a different state, from yet another state. And the more that your brain can understand how you find yourself working / what works best for you in whatever way that means. Like, some people literally just want to experience, in the realm of recreational hypnosis, say, a lot of people just want to experience pleasure. They just want to experience something that feels really good for them, right? So there are a lot of key phrases and ideas about how people can go about doing that. But also in the world of change hypnosis, which they may be very similar, you can make changes sometimes by having a conversation with a good friend. They do something like listen to what you've described, and then they reframe it in a way that you hadn't thought of, and your brain goes, oh, and all the light bulbs go on. You're like, oh, this is going to make an impact on what it is that I'm doing or how I've done it in the past. So suggestible humans, even when we're wide awake, open to the suggestions, being susceptible. And it's not that there aren't people that describe themselves as like a hard nut to crack, or I'm not very suggestible, or I can't be hypnotized, or whatever. But every day people are making choices that at some point in time may have not been suggested by themselves. It's not like we always stumble upon a new way of thinking or being that hasn't come to us from a different source on some level. Not that we're always aware of what those sources are. So let's see. I'd like to say hello to you all. Thank you very much for being here. Paul says, we're still learning how the mind works. The fact that under hypnosis, the mind behaves differently or has other reactions differently from when the mind isn't under. Yeah, isn't that sort of fascinating? The idea that, I do think that there is a different sort of response, but I'm usually going for a certain specific type of response, right? Like, I'm usually going for an understanding that, especially if you want to make change, no matter what it is, even if your change is, say, pleasure or recreational activities, actions, or, behavior modification, whatever. So again, it's still change. It's just a slightly different category from like the therapeutic type of hypnosis that a lot of people go through. So the idea that your brain isn't quite the same, can you categorize it? Can you think about what that means specifically for you? Because I'm expecting that most of us are going to have a different response than somebody else, although there may be some broad categories that each of us and each of our responses and reactions might fit into. But anyway, in the description, there is a link to that study. If you take it, please just let me know. Let me know how hypnotizable you were. Let me know if you felt, that any of those things led you to a certain place. If you understood more about your brain by going through that process, how hypnotizable you are versus how hypnotizable they think you are. I don't know if they give you that sort of thing at the end. I think that they probably should give you you're ex-hypnotizable. And let me know if they do, how that fits in with your expectations for hypnosis in general, for trance or not in general. So, all right. I'm kind of rattling on today. I don't even know why. Got plenty of time. I'm here with you guys for a while. So, I'm doing some stuff that's super exciting for me, but I'm not ready to talk about it yet. In fact, it might be months and months for me talking about it. But what I think I'm going to do today, if you read the description, I'm going to talk about today how we can be absolutely delighted with who we are as a person while still making changes that allow us to be the person that we want to be in 4 months, 6 months, a year, whatever. So let your brain think about that for a while. Let your brain think about if there are changes that you'd want to find yourself making. And to have also the thought that even if there are changes that you want to find yourself making, to realize that we are all perfectly imperfect humans. I think they're all humans listening, watching. I don't know. If you're not human, let me know. But the idea that you can adore who you are, that you can really appreciate who you are, while understanding that you have a capacity, or multiple capacities for that matter, to bring about additional change to your brain, to your body, to how or why you do things. I'd like your brain to think about those for a bit if you can. And for you to think about what that means for what you could possibly do in the future. So we're going to start that today because it's the new year. It doesn't have to be a resolution or anything. Sometimes people have a resolution and they fail. Is it a goal setting? Also, maybe not. I don't know. You can call it whatever it is that you'd like. But the idea is that your brain has this, perhaps, or you have this longing, this yearning to be something or do something. And in the meantime, while you find yourself working toward those things, whatever they happen to be, you can also appreciate where you are, how you got here, no matter the circumstances. And you can accept that you are a truly amazing individual. And you might also additionally be a truly amazing partner, or you might be a truly amazing leader or follower, whatever you happen to be in terms of your life and your work. It's possible that there are AI bots listening in, but I don't know what they're going to get from all my rattling. You know, it's so funny because there are definitely parts of the things that I say that are similar or exact to things that I often say, right? So it's not quite a script because I don't bother with that, but it's similar to a script. But I know that there are some, say, NLP hypnotist experts out there who use the same pattern, if not patter, every single time. So there's lots of these different things that allow people to like learn and grow while they do the same thing over and over and over again. And I am also susceptible to that because there's definitely things that I say that are repetitive. I say them because my brain likes them. I don't know. I say them because I think they work. I say them because I think they're helpful. I don't exactly know why I say all the things that I do. But that's all right. Oh, I just thought of something else. I don't know if there are any like ASMR folks in here, but I'd already heard of ASMR, and then a very long time ago at an early NIHU that I went to, there was a guy there talking about ASMR, and I always thought that, first of all, I did not have the correct microphone for that. I wouldn't know how to do it. I wouldn't know how to make that happen. But the more I do hypnosis and the more I just sort of rattle around with things, the more I think that almost anything could be hypnotic / ASMR-y. Again, I have no idea if an AI bot is going to be able to learn to hypnotize other people by the kind of talking that I do, but I bet that if they had someone who used scripts, for example, or if they took enough of the existing scripts that were out there that they could just flash scroll through, that they would be able to learn some quality techniques that could in fact allow them to do hypnosis. So it's probably going to be a thing at some point in the time. I know that there have been people asking in hypnosis forums about how to make that happen. So I'm sure it's coming. There are people that have been working on private projects that involve selecting an induction and a deepener and the suggestions and an awakener for a while also. So I'm sure that AI bots are about to listen to a whole bunch of hypnotists or scan the scripts that they use and just glom on to exactly how that's going to go. I have in fact tried some of that. I don't do it on a very regular basis, so I don't think that the results I was getting are results that I would find super helpful. I've asked, like, I think Bard or Gemini, whatever the one Google uses, to create a script, and they will, or they did, only create scripts for therapeutic hypnosis. So boo, but and in addition, they get very testy sometimes. Oh, you can't hypnotize people for that. That's unethical. It may be unethical, but it may also not be unethical. But AI, you do you. So, but in the meantime, we're not going to do anything that hopefully. Ooh, that's a good sound too. I guess we're adding in some sounds today that I don't normally add in. So aren't you lucky, guinea pigs? Listen to that today. So what I'm going to talk about specifically today, again, to start us on a journey for the new year, for 2025, to get to a point where not only are we delighted with who we are as human beings, but also as to allow us to work toward some goals or some project endings that we would like to start now or in the near future. So if you have anything along that line, I would like you to write them down for yourself. Doesn't really matter. Maybe if you're like me, you write down, you make yourself a little calendar note and you set it for, say, December 1st, 2025, and you type in, on January 5th, I was thinking about blah, 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 right? In terms of goals I'd like to achieve, did I get there? But along the way, you could also set, say, quarterly reminders so you can check in secret, not secret, that's sometimes the only way that I remember to make things happen, which is to say, to write things down and then to send myself a reminder in the future, because otherwise I'll send a reminder on my phone and I have to say what it's for, and I have to set it for like X amount of time in advance so that like if I have to drive somewhere, oh, I have time to like shower and get dressed and drive there. And then I remember what it is, and oh, I've got all the time in the world. Or that I have meetings or sometimes phone calls, or that today's trash day, or that I have to go to the gym. My brain is so good, honestly, at forgetting stuff. It remembers a lot of stuff too, but it forgets all kinds of things, and it's kind of nutty. All right, so find yourself thinking about whatever it is that you would like to accomplish through the year. I'm going to tell your unconscious mind in a few minutes when we start. I'm going to tell your unconscious self how fucking fantastic it is. Because it is, right? Your brain is so good. Even if you don't know it, even if you don't accept that, even if you don't believe it, I believe it. Because I've worked with a lot of brains over the years, and they're not all the same, of course, but they are all capable of doing things that are beneficial for us. And they're all capable of making something happen that we perhaps did not expect. So when we find ourselves in that state of doing something that our brains may not expect, but might hope for, might really, really want, discover that you can actually achieve those things that you want. Again, I'm not talking about, oh, you're, let's just say 47 and you think, oh, now's the perfect time to become a brain surgeon, because that may not be true, right? It's possible that it's true, but it may not be true. And especially, for example, maybe you want to do it in like a year and you don't have time to do that in a year. Doesn't mean you can't start on that path to do something in a year, but allow your expectations to be maybe semi-practical / reaching for the stars. I want your unconscious mind to realize. Also, I'm going to keep using the words that I like. I'm going to keep using the phrases, the ideas, the metaphors that I think are helpful, because in my experience, sometimes talking to a conscious person does not get the results that I would like. But usually when I talk to an unconscious mind, I do get the results that I would like. It's a little harder in a group setting because I'm not polling individually each and every one of you for what exactly you're looking for and for what exactly you've gotten out of this. And again, sometimes hypnosis is an overtime experience, which is what we're going to start today. We're going to start our overtime experience today, our overtime experiment today. Take your pick. And to allow your brain to just do its very best. Anyway, so I'm going to do the talking up your brain and you in general. And you're going to do the heavy lifting by allowing your unconscious mind to say yes or no, or to adjust things as I say them, right? You all remember that you can accept, reject, or adjust suggestions that are given to you, whether you're in trance or not. So your unconscious mind can notice that it just feels really good to be in that place where you can make these adjustments and you can make these changes, and they can feel so good that you find yourself sort of excitedly anticipating making those changes. Okay, so I'm going to wait just a moment before I actually start the trance section, because right now there are ads running through YouTube. I have no control over them other than I set them for as far apart as they could possibly be. Let's be honest, I don't make a lot of money on YouTube. I'm going to say maybe $100 a month, maybe if I'm lucky. But it's still nice to have, and it's still nice to be able to buy some nice new shiny things or be given some nice new shiny things. Take your pick. I do both. And so I want to wait until I think the ad is over, which is every 24 minutes. So we'll see how that goes. I certainly don't want to do that in the middle of the thing. But usually this little drop in people who are watching, because everyone hates ads, right? If you use an ad blocker, no shame. It's totally fine by me. So I might just do this for a little bit. And I wonder if this microphone is actually good enough to pick up whispers. Maybe I'll think about doing something ASMR-y. Sorry, this is so much fun for me to play with. Okay, So, if you would get comfortable, you can keep your eyes open. You can shut your eyes. I'll try to have this or something like it in screen if you want to keep your eyes open, or you can find yourself staring at anything you want if your eyes are open. And the more your eyes are open or closed, for this particular moment and the next few moments, you can allow your brain to just slowly get to a place where the things that I say have a powerful, profound, positive impact on you, and allow you to find yourself suggestible, allow you to find yourself open to the suggestion, allow you to feel yourself giving in to the ideas that allow you, that help you, that make you feel better and better and better. We might do a little bit of regression type stuff today. Don't worry about it. It's not past life or anything. Just an idea. So, while you listen, while you stare or have your eyes closed, you might discover that there are things in there, in your mind, that you can see or hear or feel. You might discover that there are things in your body that you can pay attention to right now. And as you find yourself paying attention to those things, the words that I say may disappear a little bit. You may hear the tippy tapping more and more powerfully, loudly, or the. Whatever you find yourself doing, allow your brain to just give in to that. Allow your unconscious mind to know that I'm only here to do something for you that is hopefully as good as possible, that you'd like to find yourself doing something that is hopefully as good as possible for you. To allow your brain to know that I appreciate it. To allow your unconscious self to realize that it always does the best for you that it possibly can, that it knows how to at any given moment. And the more you allow your unconscious mind to know that it can get better and better at doing all sorts of things, that like us, our bodies at any rate, our unconscious mind can make adjustments and changes over the years. It can realize that there are changes to how we think and how we operate, and so it can update our programming, so to speak. It can allow us to begin to act on things that maybe we had a different response to at one point in time, or maybe we needed to have a different response to at one point in time. And the more your unconscious mind realizes that it just feels so very good to allow you to update yourself. Don't worry about software bugs. Those can always be adjusted. As all the software giants literally know, don't be afraid of finding that sort of thing in your thinking. Don't be afraid of worrying at all, because humans are so good at making changes. And as humans become better and better at making changes, you too can understand that it is phenomenal for you to simply accept and to give in at how to make those changes. I'm going to talk about your mind and your body for a second. I'm going to talk about no matter what state you're in, physically or mentally, to know that because you always find yourself trying to do the very best for yourself that you can, that you know that you can figure that out, that your unconscious mind can realize that maybe there are some things that your conscious self has said recently that allow you to think that you would like to do X, Y, or Z in this coming year. That your unconscious mind, or rather this year in 2025, that your brain can think about how good it feels for you to be in that state of positive, powerful, forward change. But sometimes we do need to go backward to go forward. Sometimes we need to find that there was a mistake and to fix it so that our brain says, oh, no. But sometimes we find a mistake, as we call it, and other people look at that and say, oh, Well, that's character. That just adds character. It's fine. Nobody else is going to notice it but you. If you decide that that's a true thing for you, you can notice that maybe it's really easy for you to like go in and decorate that mistake, right? Like to notice that you don't have to tear down everything that you've done to go to that point to fix it. Now, sometimes you do. Sometimes there are cracks in foundations or gaps in foundations that are so monumental that if you build a whole lot of stuff on top of it, it may not be very stable. So allow your brain to think about the difference between those two situations. And while you do that, while you think about the difference between those two situations, and while you allow your unconscious mind to take you more firmly into a place where your brain says, yes, I'm happy to make changes. Yes, I would like to adjust myself now and going forward. Allow your unconscious mind to know that I'm just going to take you back a little bit. I'm going to ask you to find yourself dropping deeper into trance, whatever that means. And as you find yourself going back there, allow your unconscious mind to know that you can go back to a time where there was something that needed to be done a little bit differently. I don't know what that is. Somebody said something to you, or you did something that you thought was stupid. Probably not, but it doesn't matter. Maybe it was. So you find your unconscious self bringing you back to a point. And I'd like you to realize what that is. Just a little bit, even if it's only a flash for a moment, and it's even only on the unconscious level. And I'd like your unconscious mind to take a look at that and to think about how that affected you going forward. Did it affect you, or was it something that only you really thought about and noticed? If you found that it was something that only you really thought about or noticed, allow your brain to go, I guess it wasn't that bad. It wasn't this terrible thing that I thought it was. It was something that I could find myself doing, and I don't know why I thought such a lot about it after the fact. So all you're going to do is find a way to design that, to design around that, to make it better. Maybe, for example, going back to the foundation metaphor, you find yourself realizing that there's a crack somewhere. You're like, this doesn't look so bad. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to fill it in with the appropriate building material, whatever that happens to be. And I'm going to fill this in as completely as I can. I'm going to use some sort of magical X-ray vision to go all the way in so that my brain understands that I fixed this thing as much as I can. Not everything has to be redone. You know, in Japanese, there's a technique which I always forget the name, but it's where they mix like paint, gold paint into things, and they replace a plate or a vase or something, and it's got these beautiful lines of gold going through it. So allow yourself to finish a thing, to fix a thing, to repair a thing, and for your unconscious mind to put your own equivalent of beautiful lines of gold through it. And as your brain puts those beautiful lines of gold through it, you can think about how nice it looks when you're done. When you find yourself looking at the thing and you realize how nice it looks, your unconscious mind can feel this sense of relief that you have tackled a problem that maybe you thought was bigger than it was for a long time, and allow your brain to go, oh, it's not that bad. When I say that sort of thing, even out loud to you, my brain is going through some similar process for me. I don't know exactly what it's doing because I'm talking and I'm really focused on you and making sure that your brain is hearing what I'm saying. But perhaps there's, a part that just goes, oh, I can fix this, and I feel this sense of relief going through my body. Like the physical sensation of some kind of relief going through my body, and I feel a little less tense all of a sudden. Can you feel a little less tense right now? Can you allow your unconscious mind to then go through and find any other instances that might fit that criteria, that qualification? Because your brain is so very good. Your brain and your body are so very capable. of allowing you to do all the day-to-day, all the amazing stuff that you find yourself accomplishing, whether or not you qualify it as amazing, whether or not anybody else qualifies it as amazing. I'd like you to discover that if there are voices in your head or people that talk to you on a regular basis now that might say things you find yourself not agreeing with, and they're offering up their opinion on you and what you do, and it's not that important for anything other than making you feel bad, I'd like your unconscious mind to just know that you can turn those voices down. You can make them talk like Roger Rabbit. You could make them sound like they're a clown, in whatever way that means to you. So allow your brain to let you take control of, and for you to find comfort in, realizing that your brain is phenomenal. And it's not just because I told you so, but I am telling you so. And I'm telling you that your body too. These things work very closely together. And when you find yourself appreciating who you are, even if you can't do it yet, and that's okay, let your brain just know that it feels really good. It can feel really good for you to accept the little parts of you that maybe you never thought were good enough. That can allow you to feel really good at realizing that you can go back in time, unconsciously, consciously, however you want to do it. Think about things that need to get fixed, make them as fixed as your unconscious mind can imagine how you might do that. And whatever metaphors your own systems use, make it pretty, make it look good, make it strong for you to know that I don't have to go back to this place, but if I did, what I would see is this new work of art. And the more your brain does those things, the better it all becomes. The easier it is for you to just accept that as you give in to these thoughts, as you unconsciously allow your brain to go through time, finding spots that maybe you didn't get the best results out of, you can allow yourself to go back, allow your unconscious mind to reinforce not the bad ideas, but to reinforce the foundation so that you discover that you feel good. Maybe you come across something that you're like, holy shit, I shouldn't have thought about that. Why did I think this thing? I spend a lot of time these days thinking about heavy machinery, heavy equipment. And I can tell you that you can pretty much dismantle almost anything you would like. So if you find something that is a foundation that you're like, why did I think this? Why did I allow this to affect my life, the way I think, the way I act, the way I do things? I'd like you to notice that you could tear that down in your brain. You can tear those thoughts, those ideas, those beliefs down in your brain until you're left with a nice, smooth, flat surface to build again on. Let your brain do that in whichever capacity you have. I'm really not an artist, so I can think about, say, an excavator or a skid steer, and I can think about it demolishing things and putting stuff in the dumpster that gets hauled off somewhere. And then I can see that those big pieces of equipment with their big tread tires, like the kind they have on tanks if you've never seen heavy equipment, and they just go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until that piece of land is smoothed out, flat, compact, safe, ready to be used for something else. Allow your brain to think about what kind of foundation you might want to have on something and allow yourself to just build it. As you allow your brain to just build those solid, strong foundations, as you allow your unconscious mind to tear down things that you no longer need, allow your brain to be in that place where it just begins to feel even better after you do that sort of thing. And if you have nothing that needs that treatment, you can just find yourself going more powerfully into trance right now. You can just allow your unconscious mind to know that if you ever needed to do that, you could. And if you ever needed to go back to build something up to be even more easy for you going forward, you can do that right now. The more your unconscious mind realizes just how capable it is and your brain is very capable, the easier it can become for you to decide what changes you want to make going forward and to just make that happen. Now, what if there's a thing that you think you ought to be doing, but you really hate the idea of doing that, right? It's a pretty common thing for a lot of people. What if your unconscious mind right now can just think of all the ways that you dislike doing something and can instead change all that dislike to interest in, to actually liking it, to finding ways that your unconscious mind says, I could do it this way maybe, and that would feel a lot better. That would feel a lot more organic. That would feel a lot more like me. Hold on to how incredibly right it is for your unconscious mind to expect that you're going to make changes going forward, that you're going to like to make those changes going forward, and that the more you find yourself liking those changes going forward, the easier they all become. The idea that you can find yourself making these changes really easily and really organically, the idea that magically time will open up in your schedule if you're interested in doing these things, can just happen. Now, what does that mean? I'm sure that your unconscious mind realizes that there are certain times of the day when you have certain amounts of energy that allow you to do things better than others. Now, this does not mean you're going to have them every day, because life interferes, but also life does find a way to help us get what it is that what we really want. And allow your brain to know that if there are things that you do that are not helping you to get what you really want, then you can find yourself saying to your unconscious or saying out loud to your conscious self, hey, there are things I'd like to do differently. Instead of this, I'd like to do that instead. And the more your brain realizes that you want to make this change, you can say to your unconscious mind, hey, instead of doing this, can we do that? Your brain can think of how it can make that happen and can say yes to you. Your brain can say yes to you even if it's only on a short-term basis. And the more your brain says yes to you, that we can make these adjustments on a short-term basis, then you can say to it, cool, we've been doing this thing. I think this thing has been working out for us better than that thing that we used to do, that old thing that we used to do. Can we just keep doing this new thing going forward? And if that needs adjustment, we can also do that going forward. Allow your brain to give you some signal that it is saying yes, that it is going forward, that it is doing things like this. Now, that might be a sensation somewhere in your body, and you may not even be aware that your brain is giving you physical signals somewhere in your body that indicate that it is doing something positive for you. But your brain can give you signals like an itch somewhere. Why is my ear itching? It can give you signals like a rumble in your stomach or a sensation or a feeling somewhere in your body. Your brain can literally do that and may literally do that for you when you ask it to make a change. And these things can be very subtle, especially if you're not used to paying attention to them. But allow yourself to get into that practice, that habit of either feeling them in your body, or your brain just may go yes. You may hear like a loud resounding yes in your head that you can do a thing, because your brain's fucking amazing, of course. So as you find yourself in that space where your brain says, yes, I can do this thing. Yes, I will do this thing. Allow yourself to celebrate a little bit, knowing that your unconscious mind is paying attention to you. Sometimes we don't pay attention to our unconscious, so it doesn't pay attention to us. But the more you pay attention to it, i.e. hearing those voices in your head that are yours, that are positive, that are going to allow you to move forward, or paying attention to the feelings that you have in your body. You might be saying, Lee, this is absolutely crazy. I have a feeling in my body. It doesn't mean a damn thing, right? But what if you say to yourself, I feel the sensation here. Can that sensation tell me that it's really saying yes, or yes, that it's really made a change by intensifying, by moving to some other part of my body? Can it do that? The answer is probably yes, but if you ask your unconscious mind if it will do that, you'll get a different answer than you expected. Maybe you find yourself experiencing the feeling of, oh, that sensation moved to somewhere else, but I still feel it in both places. And you can expect that that might be your brain saying, yes, of course I can do it. Don't be silly. However you want to think about it, it's okay if your brain's a little sassy with you if you have been ignoring it for a while. So it may be a little sassy. It may be fully on board with finally having you pay attention to it. Or it may be on board with just, I know you've been paying attention to me, but now I'm ready to go and to do these things with you. So let your unconscious mind think about how fun it can be for your unconscious mind to be completely and thoroughly on board with you appreciating how very good you are. How important it is that your body is physically fit enough to do all the things that you want to do. And I've seen a lot of people who might think, well, what if my body isn't physically fit? Allow it to be as fit as it can be so that it allows you to do the things that you want. It's already been letting you do a lot of things you want. How can you start slowly and make yourself better and better? I have probably told you that I am still working real hard to get my fingers to touch my toes. I have to work very slowly at it because my hips and my hamstrings are super tight. These are things that are not instant. They do not happen magically, but they are happening. And just like the way that I can find myself doing that in the future, your brain can notice that sometimes things take time and you don't always see the results right away. But your brain can keep working forward and keep doing those things until you find yourself going, oh, this is so much better than it was. And that's a good marker for you to notice that you're heading in the right direction, that you're doing things that you really wanted to make happen, and that your brain is going to keep moving forward with you, working with your body, so that all of you can enjoy the results of what it is that you want to find yourself working toward in terms of behavior, beliefs, actions. So let that happen. Think about that and think about how good that can feel. Your unconscious mind and your body are amazing, perfect little beings. I can appreciate them, and you can learn to appreciate them too. But first of all, let your brain start out by thinking that it's really, really fantastic. Maybe your brain already thinks that. Great, awesome. Let that feeling, that understanding that your brain is really awesome, begin to spill over to your conscious self so that you have these passing thoughts every once in a while about, oh, my brain did such a good thing today. Maybe you're not as overt about it as I am. Maybe you're just like, oh, that was a really great idea I had today. Oh, I did something really amazing today that I didn't know I could do. Oh, I've been trying this and I finally got it. Whatever it happens to be, congratulations. You're on the path to not being obnoxious about how amazing your brain is, but just having a deep understanding and appreciation for how good every single bit of you is. So let that just get stronger and stronger. Let that feeling, those ideas strengthen inside you, and let your unconscious mind be a little bit proud that you can feel that way and that you can accept that about yourself. In the meantime, on the count of 10, find yourself coming up all the way, wide awake, feeling amazing, allowing your brain to settle in a really happy kind of way, because there's so much good coming for all of us. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, open up your eyes if they're not already open. Allow yourself to refocus, maybe right here. Can you see the eye? Okay. 8, taking in a nice deep breath. 9, moving around a little bit, letting your muscles reconfigure. And 10, wide awake. If you feel comfortable with it, remember to write down what it is that you would like to find yourself moving forward with this year, what you would like to discover that you have accomplished this year. Set some quarterly, monthly, however often it makes sense to you, reminders that this is the thing that you're focused on and this is the thing that you're going to be doing. And feel how incredibly right that can be for you. Thank you, Clarence. I do like it when my finger snaps work out really well. Also, I've been in here for about 45, 50 minutes. It gets a little steamy in here. And I think when my fingers are just slightly sweaty, wet, whatever, they feel dry, but they're not quite. They snap a little better. So hold on to that thought. Go ahead and come all the way back up. Rejoin the world. Notice how good it feels to be you, allowing your brain to get a little bit reconfiguring happening. Yes. So last year was really sucky for me. I tried to be as positive as I could because I know that it's better for a lot of things, including my mental health. And I was working really hard on also becoming better at noticing burnout, which is what I was experiencing a lot of late 2023. So I'm going to be as positive as I possibly can. I think that your brain's going to be really good at finding your own state of positive. So let's see what happens. Thank you for being here. If you would like or subscribe, if you are not already doing those sorts of things, I'd appreciate it. YouTube likes it. I don't know why. Anyway, so yay, your brain. So anyway, I'll keep making things as positive as they can be. I also think that you can do whatever it is that you put your mind to it. I firmly believe that. And I'm okay with you thinking about all the different things that you might want to do this year that you've never done before and finding a plan to achieve those things. I'm big on planning, but sometimes my plans look very scattershot at the beginning because I don't know what I don't know. And I don't know what I do know either. But I have some big plans coming up, and when the time is right, I will definitely share some of that with you guys. And we'll just see how everything else goes. So anyway, thank you for being here today. I appreciate your presence. And yeah, that's it. Thanks. Have a great day. And I will see you again next Sunday. Aloha.